Welcome to my channel. My name is Marcus Reed, and if you are here right now, as the evening settles around you, as the day finally releases its hold, and the night begins to arrive with its quiet and its dark and its particular kind of peace, then I want you to know that you are exactly where you need to be. Tonight, I am going to take you somewhere very far away, somewhere ancient, somewhere that has been dreaming for thousands of years and knows better than almost anywhere else on earth how to be still. Tonight, we are going to ancient China. Not the China of emperors issuing commands from distant thrones, not the China of armies and conquest. The other China, the quiet one, the one of ink and silk and tea and river mist, the one of lanterns reflected in still water, and the sound of a single instrument playing somewhere across a courtyard, and the smell of sandalwood burning in a small clay dish. Before we begin, I want to ask you something. Drop a comment below telling me where in the world you are watching from tonight, and tell me what time it is there, right now, as these words reach you. Someone is watching this at 3 in the morning in a city I have never visited. Someone is watching from a village I have never heard of. Someone is watching with their headphones in and their eyes already heavy. All of us together, in all our different darknesses, listening to the same story. Tell me where you are. It means more than you know. And now, let your body settle. Let your shoulders drop. Let your hands rest open. Close your eyes. Let us begin. The sun is going down over ancient China.
China. Not quickly, not all at once. This sunset has been happening for a long time already and will continue for a long time more, unfolding across the sky with the unhurried patience of something that has been doing this every evening since before memory began. You are standing on the bank of a great river. The river is the Yangtze. It is wide here, very wide, wider than seems possible for a river, more like a moving sea than a river, its surface catching the last of the evening light and holding it in long, slow, breathing reflections. The water is not still. It is always moving, always sliding southward with a deep and patient authority. But it moves so broadly and so slowly that from where you stand, it feels almost like stillness, almost like rest. The sky above the river is extraordinary. At the horizon, where the sun has just touched the edge of the world, the color is a deep, burning gold, the kind of gold that seems to come from inside the light rather than from the surface of things. Above that, orange, softening toward amber. Above that, rose and copper and the first faint suggestion of violet. And at the very top of the sky, the deep, clear blue of evening, where the first stars are beginning to appear, so faint you can only see them if you look slightly to the side of where you think they are. The whole sky is reflected in the river below. You are standing between two sunsets, the real one above and the mirror one below, and the narrow strip of earth and riverbank you occupy seems to float between them, suspended in all that color and light. You breathe in. The air here smells of
Water and mud and green things. The particular clean, complicated smell of a great river at evening. There are reeds along the bank beside you, tall and dry and slightly golden in the last light, and they move in the evening breeze with a soft, rustling sound, a papery whisper that rises and falls and rises again with each breath of air. You stand there for a long time, just breathing, just watching the colors change. The gold at the horizon deepens. The rose above it spreads upward. The violet strengthens. The river catches all of it and gives it back slightly blurred, slightly softened, as if the water is trying to improve on what the sky has offered.
Somewhere across the river, on the far bank, which is distant enough to seem like another world, lights are appearing. Small, warm, and orange. The lights of a village coming to life as the evening arrives. You can see them reflected too in the river. Tiny, trembling flames copied in the water, shaking slightly with each movement of the surface. You count them without meaning to. 1, 2, 5, 8. More than you can keep track of. A boat moves across the river between you and those distant lights. A flat-bottomed wooden boat, very low in the water, its single sail a pale rectangle against the burning sky. A fisherman, perhaps, or a trader, making his way home before full dark. He moves slowly, unhurried, the sail catching whatever wind there is and using it gently, making no effort against the current, simply accepting what the river offers. You watch him until he disappears around a bend. Then you turn and walk toward the village behind you. The path from the riverbank to the village is narrow and well-worn. Packed earth between low walls of gray stone, bordered on one side by a field of rice, the stalks golden now in the evening light, the water between them reflecting tiny pieces of the sunset, 1,000 small mirrors in the mud. The path rises slightly as it approaches the village, and from this small height, you can see the rooftops ahead. The curved roof lines of ancient Chinese architecture, the eaves sweeping upward at the corners with that distinctive lift, that particular gesture toward the sky that makes even a simple farmhouse look as though it is about to take flight. The roof tiles are dark gray, the color of old rain, and they catch the last light on their curved surfaces and hold it in long, parallel gleams. You walk through the village gate. It is a simple gate, 2 stone pillars and a wooden crosspiece above, from which hangs a small wooden sign painted with red characters you cannot read, but whose intention you can feel. Something welcoming, something that marks the transition from outside to inside, from the open world to this particular place. Inside the gate, the village opens into a small square, paved with flat stones worn smooth by generations of feet. A well at the center. A few trees, old ones, their trunks wide and their canopies spreading generously, their leaves catching the last of the light and releasing it in shifting patterns on the stones below. An old man sits on a low stone bench beneath one of the trees. He is not doing anything, simply sitting. His hands are in his lap. His eyes are half closed. He has the quality of someone who has learned, over a very long life, the art of being exactly where he is without wanting to be anywhere else. You sit on the bench beside him. He does not speak. You do not speak. The light fades. The first evening star appears above the roofline opposite. The old man looks at it for a moment, then looks away, as if he has confirmed something he already knew. You sit together in the growing dark, the two of you, and the village settles around you into evening, and the smell of cooking rice drifts from the open windows of the houses nearby, and somewhere a child calls out and is answered, and a dog barks once and is quiet, and the lanterns in the windows begin to glow as the daylight leaves, and the whole village becomes, gradually, a collection of small, warm lights in the dark. It is one of the most peaceful things you have ever experienced. Just sitting, just breathing, just being present as the day ends. You stay there until the sky is fully dark and the stars are out in their thousands, and the Milky Way stretches overhead like a river of pale light. And then you get up quietly, without disturbing the old man, who may now be asleep, and you walk deeper into the village. The village at night is a collection of warm thresholds, every window a rectangle of soft orange light, every doorway a frame around a small domestic world. You walk slowly past them and catch glimpses of lives being lived in their evening rhythms. A family eating at a low table, the steam rising from the bowls, the conversation quiet and unhurried. An old woman sewing by lamplight, her needle moving in and out of the cloth with small, precise motions, her face entirely concentrated, entirely at peace. A young man reading, his book held close to the lamp, his lips moving very slightly with the words. You do not intrude on any of these scenes. You simply walk past them and let them exist as they are, complete in themselves, requiring nothing from you. The lanterns hung outside the houses cast pools of warm orange light on the stones of the path. Between the lanterns, short passages of shadow. Light, then dark, then light again. Walking through the village at night is walking through a sequence of warmth and coolness, presence and absence, the seen and the unseen. You come to the edge of the village, where a low wall marks the boundary between the built world and the garden world beyond it. You step over the wall. The garden you enter belongs to no one in particular, or perhaps to everyone. It is a tea garden, rows of low, dark bushes whose leaves catch the starlight and give it back in small gleams. The smell of the leaves is green, slightly astringent, and very clean. Tea plants have a particular smell, not quite like anything else, something between grass and earth, and something you cannot name that is simply the smell of tea itself, before they... Water, before the cup, just the living plant in the night air. You walk between the rows slowly. The bushes come up to your waist. Their leaves brush your hands as you walk, cool and slightly waxy, and very much alive. At the far end of the garden, there is a small pavilion, open on all four sides, just a curved roof on 4 wooden pillars, a stone floor, a low stone table, 2 stone stools. A lamp burns on the table. Its flame is small and steady. Someone has left it burning for no particular reason, or perhaps for this very reason, to light the way for whoever comes to sit here in the evening. You sit on one of the stone stools. The lamp flame is reflected in the polished surface of the stone table. 2 flames, the real one above and the mirror one below, both perfectly still. From inside the pavilion, you can see the whole garden laid out in the starlight, the rows of tea bushes stretching away on 3 sides, and beyond the garden, the village with its warm windows, and beyond the village, the dark line of the hills, and above everything, the great dome of stars. You sit there and do not think about anything. This is harder than it sounds, but the garden helps. The stillness of it, the smell of the tea plants, the small, steady flame, the sound of the night, which is not silence, but is made of quiet things. An insect somewhere nearby, a single repeating note. The very faint sound of the river, distant now, but still present. A low, continuous murmur at the edge of hearing. A moth finds the lamp flame. It circles it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, each orbit slightly different. The wings catching the light and losing it, the whole small creature devoted entirely to this one impossible bright point. You watch it for a long time. Then it is gone. The flame burns on, unchanged. You get up from the stool and walk out of the pavilion, and across the garden and back over the wall, and through the sleeping village toward the sound of the river. The path to the river is different at night. The same path you walked this evening, but transformed by the dark into something slightly mysterious, slightly unfamiliar. The familiar shapes of the reeds and the stones and the low riverside willows, all made strange by moonlight and shadow, You walk down to the water. The river at night is extraordinary. The surface of the water catches the moonlight and the starlight and holds them, moving, always moving, but holding them. The reflections of the stars stretch across the water in long, broken lines, each star multiplied a dozen times by the small movements of the surface, so that the river looks like it contains more stars than the sky above it. You sit on the bank. The earth beneath you is cool and slightly damp. The reeds behind you whisper in a breath of evening air. The river moves. The stars move. Everything moves, very slowly, and yet the scene holds itself perfectly still, the way a river holds still in a painting, the way the night holds still in memory. You pick up a small, smooth stone from the bank. You hold it in your hand. It is cool and slightly heavy and perfectly oval, worn smooth by the river into this particular shape over a very long time. You hold it and feel the weight of it and the smoothness
Of it, and the coolness of it against your palm. Then you place it back on the bank exactly where you found it. The river moves on. The night is full and quiet and very, very beautiful.
Morning comes to the river with the gentlest possible announcement. Before there is light, there is a change in the quality of the dark, a softening, a suggestion that somewhere far to the east, something is beginning. The stars at the horizon fade first, not dramatically, just gently, one by one, the way guests leave a gathering, quietly, without making a fuss. Then the mist arrives. This is the particular gift of the Chinese river morning. The mist that rises from the water as the air cools just before dawn. It comes slowly, rising in thin threads from the surface of the river, gathering and thickening over the reeds, spreading across the water in long, low drifts. It is not a thick mist, not a fog, more like a suggestion of cloud, more like the river breathing. In the mist and the pre-dawn dark, the willows along the bank become shapes, soft gray forms, their long branches hanging down to touch the water, swaying very slightly. If you had never seen a willow before, you might think you were looking at something living, something that had come down to the water in the night to drink and had not yet moved away. You sit on the bank and watch the mist move. It has its own slow currents, its own drift and eddy, shaped by breezes too light to feel on your skin. Guided by the warmth of the water and the coolness of the air above it, the mist moves in patterns that seem almost deliberate, almost considered. A heron appears out of the mist. It simply appears, materializing from the gray like something imagined into existence. It lands on a flat stone at the river's edge with absolute silence, exactly the way a heron always lands, as if
Landing were the easiest thing in the world, as if the concept of effort were entirely foreign to its nature. It stands on the stone and looks at the water. It is perfectly still. You are perfectly still. The two of you in the mist at the edge of the river in the last minutes of the dark. The heron does not look at you. It has no interest in you. Its entire attention is on the water, on the particular quality of the water in front of the stone where it stands, on whatever information the water is offering it in this moment. Patience made physical, attention made visible. You breathe very quietly. The mist drifts. Then the light begins. First, just a paleness in the east, a barely perceptible brightening of the darkness above the hills. Then a thin line of gold at the very edge of the horizon, so narrow and so precise it looks like something drawn rather than something natural. The line thickens. The gold spreads upward. The mist begins to glow as the light reaches it, turning from gray to pearl to the faintest rose. The willows emerge from the gray,
their shapes clarifying as the light increases, their hanging branches catching the first light on their upper surfaces and remaining shadowed below. The heron remains on its stone. The river catches the growing light and adds it to its own movement, so that the surface becomes something luminous, something that seems to generate light rather than simply reflect it. And then the sun appears. Just the top edge of it at first, a brilliant sliver of pure gold above the hill. Then more, a quarter circle, a half circle, the whole blazing disk lifting itself above the horizon with that quality of inevitability
that the sunrise always has. That sense that it could not possibly be happening any other way. That this is simply how the world is and has always been and will always be. The light hits everything at once. The river, the mist, the willows, the heron on its stone. The heron spreads its wings without hurry and lifts from the stone and rises into the golden air and flies south along the river, its wing beats slow and deep and completely certain. You watch it until it disappears. You breathe. The morning has arrived. You walk back along the river path toward the sound of the village waking, the cooking fires being lit, the smell of wood smoke mixing with the river air, the sound of water being drawn from the well, the first voices of the day, low and quiet, not yet fully formed, still carrying the roughness of sleep. The village opens itself to the morning gradually. Doors open, animals emerge, children appear. The pace of life assembling itself from the quiet of the night into the gentle activity of the day. You follow your feet into the heart of it. The tea house is at the center of the village. It is a low building, wider than it is tall, with a roof whose eaves sweep up at the corners in that particular way, and a wooden facade painted dark red that has faded over many years to something closer to brown, a warm, rich brown that seems to absorb the morning light rather than reflect it. The door is open. Inside, the tea house is a single large room with a low ceiling supported by dark wooden beams. The floor is stone, worn smooth and slightly uneven. Low wooden tables and cushions on the floor. A long counter along the back wall, where a woman of middle age stands arranging cups with the careful meditative attention of someone who takes pleasure in the arrangement of objects. The cups are small, white ceramic with thin walls, almost translucent, so that when you hold one up to the light, you can see the shadow of your fingers through the porcelain. They are arranged on the counter in rows, each one exactly equidistant from the next, each one facing exactly the same direction. The woman at the counter does not look up when you enter. She simply reaches to the shelf behind her and takes down a clay teapot and places it on the counter and begins, with unhurried and practiced movements, to prepare the tea. You sit at one of the low tables and lower yourself onto the cushion and fold your legs and let your hands rest on your knees. The room smells of tea. Not just tea brewing now, but the accumulated smell of 10,000 pots of tea brewed in this room over many years. It is in the wooden beams, in the stone floor, in the plaster. Of the walls. It is the smell of the room itself. The woman brings the tea. She sets a small clay pot on the table, and beside it, a single white cup. She does not speak. She simply places these things with care and steps back. You pour the tea. The liquid is pale gold, almost transparent, and the steam rising from it curls in the still air of the tea house in slow, deliberate spirals. You hold the cup in both hands and feel the warmth of it in your palms, and you bring it to your lips and drink. The
taste is extraordinary. Not strong, not sharp. Something very gentle and very complex, as if a great deal is being said very quietly. There is grassiness in it, and something floral, and beneath both of those, something deeper, something mineral, something that tastes like the earth the tea plant grew in, and the rain that fell on it, and the particular quality of the light in this valley. You hold the taste in your mouth for a moment before you swallow. Then you pour another cup. Outside the open door, the village morning continues. You can see a portion of the square from where you sit. The well, the old trees, a woman crossing with a basket. Two men talking at the edge of the square, one of them gesturing slowly to make a point, the other nodding. A child chasing a chicken with the pure, joyful, useless determination that children bring to chasing chickens. All of it happening at the pace of a morning that has no particular reason to hurry. You drink your tea. You watch the square. You breathe. A musician appears at the edge of your vision. He settles himself on the low step.
Outside the tea house, without fanfare, as if he has been sitting here every morning for years, and today is simply another morning. He is a young man with a guqin, the ancient seven-stringed Chinese instrument, a long, narrow board of dark wood with silk strings stretched from bridge to bridge. He places it across his legs and looks at it for a moment. Then he plays. The sound is unlike anything you have heard before, and at the same time unlike nothing you have heard before, because it has been inside you all along in some form. This particular combination of resonance and delicacy and space. The guqin does not fill the air with sound. It places sound in the air, carefully, like placing objects on a table. Each note considered, each silence between notes as much a part of the music as the notes themselves. He plays slowly. The melody, if it is a melody, does not insist on itself. It suggests. It implies. It offers a phrase and then lets it go and waits. And the silence after each phrase is full of the phrase that just ended, still resonating in the air and in the body and in the space between. You close your eyes. The music continues. You breathe. The tea in your hands is warm. The music and the warmth and the smell of the tea house and the sounds of the village morning outside all come together into something that is not quite any one of those things, but is all of them at once. A single encompassing experience of being present in a particular place at a particular moment, complete and without reservation. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw unclenches. Your breathing slows without you doing anything to make it slow. The guqin
plays on. The afternoon passes like water. You walk through it, and it moves around you. And when you try to hold any particular moment, it is already gone, already becoming the next moment. The way the river is always becoming the next stretch of river, always moving, always the same. You visit the silk workshop at the edge of the village. The silkworms are kept in flat wooden trays in long, low building that smells of mulberry leaves, and something else, something faintly animal and sweet, the smell of transformation. The silkworms are white and plump and very busy, moving over the leaves with that particular blind purposefulness of creatures that know exactly one thing, but know it completely. The silk thread they produce is the finest thing you have ever held between your fingers. A single thread, barely visible, barely there, and yet when you hold it up to the light, it catches it and glows with a warmth and richness that seems impossible for something so fine. The women who work the silk sit at their looms in the afternoon light and weave. Their hands move in the same meditative rhythm you saw last night with the woman in the window. Back and forth, over and under, the shuttle passing through the threads, the pattern building slowly, impossibly slowly, one row at a time.
They talk among themselves as they work, their voices low and conversational, the words rising and falling in the particular music of the dialect of this valley. A music you cannot understand, but can feel, the way you can feel music even in a language you do not speak. You sit in the corner of the reading room and watch and listen and breathe, and the afternoon moves slowly past. Later you walk the
Path that leads from the village up into the hills. The path climbs gradually through stands of bamboo that grow close on either side, their tall green stalks clicking softly against each other in the afternoon breeze, their canopy high above filtering the sunlight into shifting patterns of gold and green on the path below. Walking through bamboo is like walking through a living hall, the stalks like columns, the canopy like a ceiling, the whole structure breathing and moving and alive. You climb until the bamboo thins and the path levels out on a ridge, and you can see in both directions down the long valley. To the north, the village, tiny now, its rooftops barely visible among the trees. To the south, the river, silver in the afternoon light, curving between its low green banks toward the distant haze where the valley opens onto the wider world. You sit on a flat stone at the edge of the ridge. The stone is warm from the sun, warm enough to feel through your clothing, a steady, even warmth with no edges. The view from here is immense, not dramatic, not the sharp grandeur of mountains or the vertiginous exposure of a cliff. Something quieter, and in some ways more moving, a gentleness of scale. The valley holding its river and its village and its fields and its bamboo groves with the easy completeness of a bowl holding water. Everything fitting together, everything belonging, the human and the natural woven together so thoroughly that the distinction between them seems arbitrary. You look at it for a long time. A hawk circles over the valley below, high up, riding a thermal with its wings spread and still, its body barely moving, just adjusting imperceptibly to the air, letting the rising warmth Carry it. You watch it circle, around and around, higher and higher, then over the ridge and gone. You sit on the warm stone for a long time more. The sun moves toward the western hills. The shadows in the valley lengthen. The river below you turns gold as the light changes. And you feel, sitting here on this ridge above this valley, in this ancient country, a particular quality of peace that is different from relaxation, different from rest, different from the absence of worry. A peace that is positive rather than simply negative, a fullness rather than an emptiness. The peace of being exactly the right size, in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time. You breathe it in. You hold it for a moment. Then you begin the walk back down to the village. The light is going. The bamboo on either side of the path has lost its gold and become simply green and then gray as the evening comes. The clicking of the stalks in the breeze is softer now. The birds in the canopy have gone quiet. The path winds down, and the village appears below, its lanterns being lit one by one, the warm orange lights appearing in the windows and doorways as you descend, the village making its nightly transformation from a place of day to a place of evening. You walk through the village gate. The square is quiet. The well stands in the starlight. The old trees spread their dark canopies against the darkening sky. You walk through the village to the house at the far end, where a room has been prepared for you. The house is a low building of gray stone and dark timber, its roof curving upward at the corners, its doorway framed by two painted wooden pillars A lamp burns on a hook beside the door, its light warm and steady. You step inside. The entrance hall opens into a courtyard, small, perfectly square, open to the sky. In the center of the courtyard, a stone basin of water, and in the basin, a single lotus flower floating on the surface, its petals closed now for the night, furled tight around whatever light it holds inside. You stand and look at the lotus for a moment. The water in the basin is perfectly still. The closed flower floats without moving. You walk past the courtyard and down a short corridor and into the room that has been prepared for you. It is simple in the way that all the best rooms are simple. Nothing unnecessary, nothing missing. A sleeping mat on a low wooden platform, covered with a quilt of stitched silk, soft and light and warm. 2 pillows filled with dried flower petals, whose smell rises gently when you press them. A small table with a lamp and a cup of tea, still warm, someone having placed it here not long ago. A window covered with rice paper, through which the lamplight falls in a soft, diffused glow. On the wall opposite the sleeping mat, a single painting, ink on paper in the traditional style. A mountain in the background, suggested more than stated. A few brushstrokes that somehow contain an entire mountain. In the middle ground, a river, a single curved line that manages to convey movement and depth and the particular quality of water. In the foreground, a single tree, leafless, its branches spreading upward and outward in all directions, each branch ending in smaller branches, ending in smaller branches still. An endlessly repeating pattern of division and subdivision, complexity.
Built entirely from simplicity, and at the base of the tree, almost too small to see, a figure, just a few marks, a person, sitting, looking at the mountain, looking at the river, just being there. You sit on the edge of the sleeping mat and hold the cup of tea in both hands. It is the same tea as this morning, the same pale gold, the same rising steam, the same extraordinary quiet complexity of taste. You drink it slowly. The lamp flame is still. The painting on the wall is still. The house is utterly quiet. Outside, through the rice paper window, you can sense the night rather than see it. The quality of the light beyond the paper, the deep dark blue of a clear night sky. And in that darkness, very faintly, the stars. You finish the tea. You set the cup down on the table. You lie down on the sleeping mat and pull the silk quilt over you. The quilt is lighter than you expect, and warmer than seems possible for something so light. It settles over your body like something that knows exactly what it is doing, finding your shape, conforming to it, holding you with the lightest possible pressure. The lamp flame is small and steady. The painting on the wall looks back at you with its mountain and its river and its single bare tree and its tiny figure sitting quietly at the base of everything. You look at the figure in the painting. You and it looking at each other across the room, across the silk and ink and paper, across the particular distance between the depicted and the real. Then your eyes grow heavy. The painting blurs at the edges. The lamplight softens. From outside, very faintly, the sound
of the river. Not loud, not insistent, just present. That continuous low murmur that you have been hearing all day, the voice of the Yangtze talking to its banks, talking to the stones, talking to the reeds, talking to the night. It has always been talking. It will always be talking. Tonight, it is talking you to sleep. Let it. Let the sound of the water come into the room and fill the spaces between your thoughts, and carry those thoughts gently away, the way a river carries leaves, without effort, without resistance, just taking what the bank offers and moving on. Let your body sink into the mat. Let the quilt hold you. Let the lamp burn down. Your hands are heavy. Your feet are heavy. The back of your head is heavy against the pillow, and you can smell the dried flowers inside it, something floral and dry and ancient, the smell of summers that have already passed, distilled into this small pillow, offered to you now in the dark. Your breathing has slowed. Each breath in, a little slower than the last. Each breath out, a little longer. Your thoughts, whatever they were, are very far away now. Not gone, perhaps, but not here. Somewhere else. Moving quietly downstream, unhurried, carried by the current, heading wherever thoughts go when you finally stop holding them. The lamp trembles once, just once. A breath from somewhere, the house settling, the night sighing. Something imperceptible and gentle, and the flame leans slightly, and then straightens, and burns on, steady and small and gold. The river murmurs. The stars move overhead in their enormous arcs. The lotus in the courtyard basin floats on its still water in the dark, its petals closed around its own light, waiting for morning. You are
Sinking. Not falling. Never falling. Sinking. The way the sun sinks below the horizon each evening, slowly and completely and without any sense of loss. Simply going where it goes, doing what it does, following the ancient, reliable pattern of days and nights and days. The silk quilt is warm. The darkness behind your eyes is the same deep blue as the sky outside the rice paper window. You are floating. The river is always there. The mountain in the painting is patient and still. The tiny figure at the base of the tree sits quietly in its brushstroke world and asks nothing of you at all. Ancient China breathes around you. Thousands of years of evenings. Thousands of years of lamps being turned low and quilts being pulled close and eyes being closed and breath slowing and the world narrowing to this. A warm room, a body at rest, the sound of water somewhere in the dark. You are one thread in that long silk, one voice in that long conversation. Let the night hold you. Let the river sing. Let the mountain be still. Let the figure in the painting keep its quiet watch. You have walked far today. You have seen beautiful things. You have breathed the morning mist and tasted the tea and felt the warm stone on the ridge above the valley and watched the hawk circle higher and higher until it disappeared. All of it is yours now, folded into you, part of the sleep you are sinking into. Down, down, into the deep, warm dark. The river will still be there when you wake. The lotus will have opened by then, its petals spread wide, offering whatever light it holds to the morning. The tea will be made again. The old man will
Be on his bench. The heron will have returned to its stone, all of it patient and unchanged, and waiting on the other side of sleep. But now you sleep. Slowly, gently, completely. Like the river settling into night. Like the lotus closing around its light. Like ancient China itself. Breathing. Still. Dreaming. Good night.